Chapter 4. Dzogchen in relation to the various levels of the Buddhist path. A verse from Buddha Shakyamuni. Give up all negative actions. Always act perfectly in virtue. Develop complete mastery of your own mind. This is the teaching of the Buddha. And Garab Dorje. If thoughts arise, remain present in that state. If no thoughts arise, remain present in that state. There is no difference in the presence in either state. It will be helpful in coming to an understanding of Dzogchen to consider it in relation to the various other spiritual paths within the spectrum of Buddhism in general, which are all equally precious and have been taught for the benefit of beings of different levels of capacity. These paths all have the common aim of seeking to overcome the problem that arose when the individual entered into dualism, developing a spurious, subjective self or ego that experiences the world as separate from itself, external and objective, and which continually tries to manipulate that world in order to obtain satisfaction and security. In truth, one will never manage to attain satisfaction and security this way, because the cause of suffering and dissatisfaction is none other than the fundamental sense of incompleteness, that is, the inevitable consequence of being in the state of dualism, and, moreover, all the seemingly external phenomena on which we try to base our satisfaction and security are impermanent. The Buddha was a totally realized being who manifested a human birth in India in the 5th century BCE. In order to be able to teach other human beings by means of his words and the example of his life. Suffering is something very concrete, which everyone knows and wants to avoid if possible, and the Buddha therefore began his teaching by talking about it in his famous formulation of the Four Noble Truths. The first truth draws our attention to the fact that we suffer, pointing out the existence of the basic dissatisfaction inherent in our condition. The second truth explains the cause of dissatisfaction, which is the dualistic state and the unquenchable thirst or desire inherent in it. The subject reifies its objects and tries to grasp them by any means, and this thirst or desire, in turn, affirms and sustains the illusory existence of the subject as an entity separate from the integrated wholeness of the universe. The third truth teaches that suffering will cease if dualism is overcome and reintegration achieved, so that we no longer feel separate from the plenitude of the universe. Finally, the fourth truth explains that there is a path that leads to the cessation of suffering, which is the one described by the rest of the Buddhist teachings.